The sky above New York was blue and calm. Birds flew quietly, people walked to work, and everything seemed normal. Children laughed in schoolyards, and traffic moved slowly through the city. But high above, past the clouds, something huge was moving. It was not a plane, it was not a satellite. It was something no one on Earth had ever seen before. Suddenly the sunlight began to fade. Shadows fell across the streets. People looked up, confused. The sky turned dark, too dark for a normal cloud. It was like night had come early, but there were no stars, only a giant black shape floating above the Earth. Across the world, people stared at the sky. From Tokyo to Paris, from Africa to Antarctica, the same dark shape appeared. It wasn't one ship, it was many. Hundreds of massive alien warships, all sliding into Earth's orbit at once. Their size was terrifying. Some were larger than Earth's biggest cities. They moved silently, casting long, cold shadows across the land. News stations broke into programs. "Unknown objects above Earth," the headlines read. The words felt too small for what was happening. The president called an emergency meeting. World leaders sent messages to each other, but no one had answers. Then the message came. It wasn't in any human language, but every device on Earth, every phone, every screen, even old radios, suddenly showed the same symbol. Then a voice followed. Deep, cold, without emotion. "This is the Galactic Fleet. Earth is now under the control of the Galactic Council. Surrender your world peacefully. Resistance is useless." Panic spread. People ran through the streets. Some cried. Some prayed. Others tried to leave cities, but where could they go? The alien ships were everywhere. In London, a mother held her child close. In Moscow, soldiers grabbed old weapons, unsure what to do. In India, monks stared at the sky, calm but curious. On every corner of the planet, people felt the same thing, fear. But deep underground, far from the noise and panic, a small group of humans watched everything from a secret base hidden in a mountain. Their screens showed live feeds from around the world. They saw the ships, heard the alien message, and watched. The people panic, and they laughed. Not because they were crazy, not because they didn't care. They laughed because they had been waiting for this. Commander Voss stood in the center of the control room. He was tall, quiet, and old. His eyes were sharp, and his voice was calm. "So," he said, smiling, "they finally came." The others in the room nodded. Some smiled. One young woman leaned forward and typed something into a console. "First wave formation confirmed. Total count, 372 enemy ships, all holding position. No landing yet," she reported. Voss walked over to a large screen. It showed Earth from space, surrounded by black ships. To most people, it looked like a nightmare. But to him, it looked like an opportunity. "They think we're weak," he said softly. "They think we'll break, just like the others." Another officer, a man with short hair and a scar across his face, chuckled. "Should we send a welcome message?" "Not yet," Voss said. "Let them get comfortable." Back in space, the leader of the alien fleet, Admiral Theron, watched Earth through the glass of his command ship. His body was tall and covered in armor. His face had no eyes, just a single glowing lens. He turned to his officers. "Humans, show no organized defense. Their cities are wide open. No ships launched. They are unprepared." A younger alien spoke up. "Should we begin surface control?" Theron waited. He didn't like how quiet Earth was. The humans weren't attacking, but they weren't surrendering either. It didn't make sense. "Hold position," he ordered. "Wait for their reply." But no reply came. Hours passed. Earth stayed silent. People hid. Governments went dark. And still, the humans said nothing. In the secret base, Voss watched. The alien ships hang in the sky like giant sharks. He turned to the room. "Activate Phase 1, he said. Around him, humans moved quickly. Lights turned red. Alarms stayed silent, but systems woke up. Old machines powered on. Machines that had been hidden for decades, maybe longer. What if they fire first? Someone asked. Voss looked at the screen one last time, where the largest alien ship floated just above Earth's surface like a mountain in the sky. Then we'll show them why we laughed, and somewhere, far under the ice of Antarctica, something ancient and massive began to stir. The alien ship hovered above Paris like a dark moon. Its smooth metal surface reflected nothing. It made no sound, no vibration, nothing at all. Below it, the people of Earth held their breath. In homes, in shelters, in bunkers, everyone waited for the first strike. And it came. A single beam of red energy burst from the bottom of the alien ship. It was aimed at an empty field just outside the city, a test, not an attack. The light hit the ground like a spear from heaven, but then, nothing. The beam fizzled out. No crater, no smoke, no fire, just a patch of burned grass. A gust of wind blew dust across the field, untouched. Inside the alien ship, red warning lights flashed. The weapon crew scrambled. A technician with 4 arms hit a panel, confused. "Power levels are stable," he said. "Targeting systems locked, but the energy did not enter the ground." "Try again," ordered Admiral Theron. Another shot fired. This time it hit a mountain in the Alps. Still, nothing. The mountain didn't even crack. Their strongest ship's main weapon couldn't break a rock. The officers stared in silence. "Is their planet protected by shields?" someone asked. Theron shook his head. "They are not that advanced. Their technology is simple. This shouldn't be possible." Below them on Earth, a small group of engineers watched the failed attack on a secret screen. They sat in a dark room under a desert, drinking coffee and laughing. One of them, a young woman with a ponytail, pointed at the screen. "I told you they'd try direct fire," an old man beside her chuckled. "And Earth's core field stopped it again." Earth wasn't just a planet, it was alive in ways the galaxy had forgotten. Its magnetic field, once thought useless, was layered with hidden defenses. They weren't energy shields, they weren't machines. They were built into the planet itself, systems designed thousands of years ago, when Earth had last fought in the stars. But the aliens didn't know that. They sent dropships next, hundreds of them. Small, fast, full of soldiers. They landed in forests, cities, deserts. Claws hit the ground. Strange eyes scanned the area. They carried shock rifles and neural nets, tools made to capture primitive life. But Earth didn't fight them. Instead, it ignored them. In a Canadian forest, a squad of alien soldiers marched carefully through the trees. It was quiet, too quiet. One of them raised a scanner. Suddenly, the scanner exploded. A huge brown blur slammed into the soldier. It was a moose, a regular moose, 12 feet tall, angry and wild. The alien screamed as the animal lifted him into the air and threw him into a tree. Another soldier fired a stun beam. The moose didn't even flinch. All around them, more animals came from the forest. Bears, wolves, wild pigs, even a swarm of bees. The soldiers tried to run. Most didn't make it. In Australia, a group of aliens landed in the outback. They laughed at the red dirt and open land. One of them stepped on a small creature, a snake. Within seconds, he was on the ground, twitching. The others screamed for help. Back in orbit, Theron stared at the reports coming in. Hundreds of wounded, weapons failing, soldiers asking for evacuation. "How?" he whispered. "How are they winning without even attacking us?" He turned to his science officer. "Explain it." The officer pulled up a map of Earth. "Sir, gravity here is heavier than we thought. Their animals are stronger than expected. Their atmosphere disrupts our sensors. And what? Our translation AI is glitching. The local languages, they contain sarcasm." Theron didn't understand. "What is sarcasm?" The officer swallowed. "It's when they say something, but mean something else. Their humor is dangerous. It hides their true intentions." Theron's lens flickered. He remembered the human response, the strange message that came through their ship days ago. A teenager had hacked into the fleet signal and played circus music. At the time, they thought it was just noise. Now he wasn't so sure. He watched the footage again. The humans weren't scared, they were laughing. And not because they were crazy. They were laughing because they knew something the aliens didn't. Theron slammed his fist into the table. Prepare a full ground invasion. No more games. I want control of Earth by tomorrow. But Earth had already started its own plan. Back in the mountain base, Commander Voss received a quiet alert. A tiny drone, no larger than a fly, had landed on one of the alien ships. It had recorded their entire system, and it had found something strange. They're using version 9.7 firmware, said the technician. That's old, very old. Can we break it? Voss asked. The technician smiled. We already did. He tapped a button. All across the sky, small, invisible pulses were sent out. To the aliens, everything still looked normal. Their systems still blinked, still beeped. But deep inside their code, human viruses had already begun to spread. The aliens didn't even notice. But soon, they would. And far beneath the Earth, that same ancient machine hidden under the ice began to pulse with light. Slowly, one light turned on, then another, then 100. It had been sleeping for thousands of years. Now it was waking up. And this time, it was angry. In space above Earth, the Galactic fleet still floated like giants in the sky. Their ships were bigger than cities. Their weapons were stronger than anything they thought humans could handle. But something felt wrong. The humans weren't afraid. They weren't running, they were quiet, too quiet. Inside the command ship, Admiral Theron paced back and forth. His black armor hissed with every step. Reports kept coming in. Strange failures, confusing losses, and worst of all, no clear enemy to fight. His officers watched nervously as Theron finally stopped and pointed at the screen. Begin full orbital. Lockdown, he growled. Shut down their satellites, end their communication, crush their defense systems. The aliens activated their main command arrays, sending waves of coded pulses toward Earth's sky. The codes were strong. They had destroyed entire planets in the past. This should have worked. It didn't. Instead, the Galactic fleet's own screens glitched. Lines of code turned to human writing. One sentence appeared across every alien ship's screen. You really thought that would work here? And then came the laugh. It echoed through every speaker, every screen. Deep, loud, and human. It wasn't forced. It was real. A laugh full of mockery, confidence, and something worse. Knowledge. Theron froze. Where is that signal coming? From? Unknown, one of his officers said. It's bouncing off the moon, satellites even. Mars. Find it, now. But they were already too late. Near the edge of Earth's orbit, just behind the moon, a small object began to move. It was a ship, but not like theirs. It was smaller than a shuttle, rough-looking, made of strange angles and thick metal plating. The name printed on the side was scratched but still readable, the Laughing Sun. Inside, a single human sat at the controls, Captain Raina Cole. She wasn't famous. She wasn't part of Earth's Space Command. She was once a test pilot, then a racer, then a mechanic. Then, after some bad choices, she disappeared. Most people thought she was dead. But now, she was back. And she was smiling. Raina stared at the massive alien fleet ahead. Her ship was old, rusty, and held together by hope and duct tape. But it had one thing no alien ship had: a human brain behind the wheel. She hit a switch. Music started playing through her cockpit, an old Earth song, fast and wild. Something, with drums and guitars. Then she pushed forward. The Laughing Sun roared to life, burning toward the alien ships like a bullet. The aliens didn't react, they didn't even see her. She was too small, too fast, too impossible. Inside the command ship, Theron looked up, just as an alert flashed on screen. Unidentified craft detected. Before they could lock on, Raina was already there, twisting, spinning, dancing between their ships like a spark in a storm. Her ship weaved through gravity fields, avoided drones, and then did the unthinkable. She fired a shot, just one. It wasn't a missile. It wasn't a laser. It was an old weapon, something humans hadn't used in years. A kinetic slug. A big, dumb, metal dart, flying fast. It hit the underbelly of one of the larger alien warships, the Omen Tide, right at a joint in its armor. The explosion was quiet in space, but the result was loud. The ship cracked open like a dropped egg, split in half and began to drift downward, straight toward Earth. Thousands of aliens on board screamed in panic as systems failed. Lifeboats launched. Fire burst from the broken hull, all from one tiny human ship. Inside the command ship, everyone stared at the screen. Silence filled the room. Theron growled. That shouldn't be possible. His science officer whispered, their weapons aren't more powerful. They're just smarter. Reyna didn't stop. She tore through the fleet like lightning, using Earth's magnetic fields and solar winds to slingshot around them. Her small ship was like a ghost. Too fast, too unpredictable, too human. Every time they tried to lock on, she vanished. Every time they chased, she doubled back. The aliens had computers, systems, and plans. She had instinct, and a plan of her own. Back on Earth, Commander Voss watched her through a satellite feed. She's faster than I remember, he muttered. Should we activate the sky grid? Asked one of his techs. Voss shook his head. No, not yet. Let them see her. Let them fear her. Let them understand. The message had to be clear. Humans don't fight fair. They fight smart. They fight hard. They fight with chaos in their veins and laughter on their lips. And when someone brings war to their home, they make the enemy regret waking them up. Reyna Cole did one last loop around the fleet and fired a burst of electromagnetic spikes. Half the ships lost their engines. Several shut down entirely, floating powerless in orbit. Then she sent one final message to the aliens. Welcome to Earth. Enjoy the view. You won't be staying long. And just like that, she vanished. The laughing sun disappeared behind the clouds, gone from sensors, radar, everything. Theron stood frozen. His army had been stopped. No, humiliated, by one human ship. He turned toward the stars and whispered, "What kind of monsters are they?" And far beneath the Earth, the ancient machine woke fully. A smooth voice spoke through the underground base. Defense phase complete. Earth strike protocol ready. Voss smiled. Part 4 begins now. Deep underground, far below the Earth's surface, ancient lights came alive. Walls of metal unfolded. Giant doors opened. And from the heart of the Earth's forgotten bunkers, the Earth strike protocol finally activated after 173 years of silence. The machines woke one by one. Satellite beams synced. Old codes, passed down through whispers and shadow files, unlocked new systems. Human leaders didn't panic. They smiled. Commander Voss stood in the control room, arms crossed. He watched as massive launch silos revealed hidden weapons older than any alien warship, but far more dangerous. This isn't a war, he said softly. It's a lesson. One of the techs looked up from his screen. Sir, alien elite troops are inbound. Drop pods. Thousands of them. Voss nodded. Good. Let them come. Above Earth, the Galactic fleet was shaking. Admiral Theron had lost control of nearly 1/3 of his ships. Others were floating helpless, fried by electromagnetic pulses or jammed by unknown signals. Their pride was broken, and now they wanted revenge. Deploy the Spectre Guard, Theron ordered. The Spectre Guard was their most feared unit. Genetically enhanced cybernetic implants, stronger, faster, deadlier than anything in the galaxy. These soldiers had destroyed entire civilizations before. They launched from orbit in sharp black pods that fell like meteors, piercing the skies. People on Earth looked up. At first, they thought it was a meteor shower. Then they saw the trails of fire, the spinning lights, the symbols of alien war. Panic began to rise, but it didn't last long, because Earth was ready. The first alien drop pods crashed into a forest just outside an old research facility in Siberia. Trees exploded. The ground shook. The Spectre Guard emerged in perfect formation, scanning the area. Then, they stopped, because the forest wasn't quiet. It was humming. From between the trees, figures appeared. Not aliens, humans. But these humans wore strange suits, black with glowing red marks, light as cloth but hard as steel. Each one held a weapon that didn't match anything in the Galactic database. They moved fast. Too fast. One of the Spectre Guard stepped forward. His voice, distorted and cold, spoke through a translator. "You will surrender your planet." A human soldier tilted his head and replied, "No, but we'll take your armor if you leave it behind." Then the forest exploded in battle. The humans moved like shadows, fast, clever, brutal. They didn't fight with honor. They fought to win booby traps, electromagnetic bursts, pulse knives that cut through alien plating, explosive rounds that bent around cover. The Spectre Guard didn't expect resistance like this. Within 5 minutes, 12 alien squads were wiped out. One alien soldier tried to call for backup, but all channels were blocked. Another tried to flee, but the forest itself responded. Automated drones, disguised as birds, swooped down and cut his thrusters. They never even saw the humans who killed them, only the laughter echoing in the trees. Meanwhile, in Africa, alien pods landed in a dry valley. Dust rose into the air. This time, the Spectre Guard expected traps. They scanned carefully. They moved slow, but something strange happened. The sand beneath them moved. Suddenly, the entire valley became a death trap. Hidden railguns rose from underground. Stealth mines triggered magnetic explosions, and from nearby hills, old human tanks, remodeled and supercharged, roared into life. These tanks didn't run on fuel. They ran on fusion cores stolen from dead alien ships long ago. One Spectre Guard tried to aim, but a direct hit from the tank's sonic cannon tore him in half. Within minutes, another alien team was destroyed. They thought Earth was weak. But Earth had been waiting. Back in orbit, Theron slammed his fist on the command table. "They shouldn't have this kind of firepower. We've destroyed more advanced species." The science officer looked pale. "Sir, I think that's the point. Earth isn't advanced because of tech. They're dangerous because they don't follow rules." He pointed at the screen. "Every time we expect them to fight the same way, they change. They don't act like a peaceful species. They act like predators. Cornered predators." Theron leaned closer. "Then it's time we show them something they've never seen either." He turned to his weapons officer. "Prepare the obliterator. Let's show them what real power looks like." The officer's hands shook slightly. "Sir, if we use that weapon near a planet—" "I don't care," Theron hissed. "Earth laughed at us. Let's see if they laugh when their oceans burn." Far below, Commander Voss watched as enemy weapons charged in orbit. He looked over at one of his team leaders, a young woman named Mira Thorne, once a dropout engineer, now leader of the Earthstrike Ghost team. "Is the payload ready?" Voss asked. She nodded. "It's inside their ship already. They didn't even scan for human tech. They think they're the smartest ones in space." Voss smiled. "Let's teach them humility." And just then, the Galactic Fleet's largest ship, the Obliterator, lit up with power. A massive energy ring charged at its core. Oceans below began to react. Tides shifted. Storms rose. People across the world looked to the sky, terrified. But Raina Cole, now flying through the shadows of Earth's upper atmosphere, was already moving. She smiled in her cockpit and whispered, "Time to steal a sun." The Obliterator, the pride of the Galactic Fleet, glowed like a second sun above Earth. Its core was fully charged. One shot could burn away oceans, crack continents, and turn the planet to ash. It was the final weapon. Admiral Theron stood on the command deck, proud and angry. "Let's see how they laugh now," he growled. But as the countdown reached 10, a warning flashed. "Internal breach detected." Theron frowned. Impossible, no ship docked. Sir, the security chief said, his voice shaking. It's not from outside. They're inside. Inside the obliterator, 12 humans in black armor moved like smoke through the halls. At the front was Raina Cole, helmet down, eyes scanning the glowing maps on her wrist. Behind her, the Ghost Team, Earth's best infiltrators. They didn't wear rank, they didn't salute. They only followed one rule: win. Quietly. Raina stopped at a thick blast door. This leads to the core. We plant the override here and vanish before they know. Her second-in-command, Malik, tapped on his gauntlet. AI says we've got 5 minutes before they fire. 2 to plant, 3 to escape. Raina smiled. Plenty of time. But not everything went as planned. An alien drone turned the corner, spotted them, and screamed. Alarms blared. Lights turned red. Walls shifted, sealing off exits. The obliterator woke up like a wounded beast. Raina cursed. Malik, stay here and finish the job. I'll buy you time. He grabbed her arm. You won't make it back. I don't need to, she said, and disappeared into the smoke. Back on Earth, Commander Voss stared at the screen showing the obliterator. It was charging again, faster now. We don't have time, the technician said. Voss didn't flinch. We do. Raina's in. Someone whispered. She won't make it out. Voss looked up. She's not there to escape. She's there to win. Raina sprinted through fire and bullets. Alien guards tried to corner her. She dropped smoke grenades, doubled back, shot without mercy. Her armor took hits. Sparks flew. Blood filled her mouth. But she didn't stop. She reached the control center. A tall alien in elite armor stood in her way. He aimed his plasma rifle. You are too late. Raina pulled off her helmet. Blood on her face, fire behind her eyes. No, she said. You are. And she pressed the detonator. Suddenly, across the obliterator, every locked door flew open. Human tech hidden inside the ship overrode the alien systems. Lights turned off. The ship's power began to drain. Slowly, then faster. The core began to collapse inwards. Theron screamed, "What have they done?" A voice echoed through the ship. It was Raina. Your power doesn't scare us. You came to show us your strength, but now you've seen ours. We don't destroy planets. We walk into your fortress and turn it off. Back on Earth, people saw it happen. The glowing ship dimmed, it shuddered, then it stopped charging. Then, to everyone's shock, it turned around. The obliterator, now controlled by human override, changed direction. It faced the Galactic fleet. Theron was still inside, trying to regain control, but it was no use. One by one, human codes spread across the entire fleet like a virus. Ship after ship shut down. Lights flickered. Weapons failed. Engines died. From Earth, Commander Voss gave the final command. Transmit the message. A single word was sent across all frequencies. Laugh. Throughout the galaxy, governments watched the feed in horror. The most powerful fleet in known space stopped cold. Humans hadn't fired a single shot into orbit. They had boarded, hacked, sabotaged, and flipped the enemy's strongest weapon against itself. People didn't understand it. They had never seen a species do this. They began to whisper, Earth doesn't fight like us. Earth fights to win. Earth is laughing, but they're not joking. And then, a small human ship flew out of the wreckage. Inside was Malik, breathing hard. Raina didn't make it, but she left a message. It played across the galaxy. She sat calmly in the video, helmet off. If you ever come for Earth again, she said, just remember what happened to the last fleet that tried. Then she smiled, and the screen went black. The stars were quiet. The once mighty Galactic fleet was floating, dead in space. Their command ship, the Obliterator, was dark, still under human control. Raina Cole's last message played on every planet, station, and council chamber. Her smile, her voice, her warning. It shook the galaxy. In the Council of Stars, the High Chancellors sat in stunned silence. Humans hacked our greatest ship, And now they have it? One counselor asked, his voice trembling. Another shouted, "They didn't just stop us, they used us like a toy." Whispers spread. Fear had arrived, but not everyone wanted peace. In the Kalari Empire, a war-hungry race of armored reptilian warriors, generals beat their chests in rage. "They made fools of us all," General Scath roared. "This insult must be answered with blood." His troops screamed in agreement. A secret fleet began to gather, stronger, bigger, older than the one before. Ships hidden for centuries, once forbidden, were activated. Their engines roared to life. Back on Earth, Commander Voss watched the stars with calm eyes. He knew what was coming. "They won't stop now," he said. "They'll come again, harder." But Earth was no longer waiting. Reyna's sacrifice had changed everything. Across every continent, human nations united. Warships were built, not for defense, but for control. Engineers worked day and night on something hidden deep under the surface, something ancient, a machine from Earth's forgotten past, one that should never have existed. In a hidden vault, beneath the Sahara Desert, a deep black door opened. Inside, a massive metal creature rested. Not a ship, not a tank, something in between. It hummed with energy. Symbols glowed on its surface. Symbols not seen in the galaxy for over 100,000 years. A team of human scientists stood in awe. "This isn't human tech," one whispered. Commander Voss stepped forward. "No," he said. "It's older. It was left for us, by the ones who came before." In the farthest corner of the galaxy, deep beyond the known stars, a long dormant beacon flickered to life. Something ancient heard the signal, something the galaxy forgot. Long ago, it ruled empires, burned worlds, shattered fleets with thought. Alone, it was called the Watcher Beyond Stars, and now, it was awake. Meanwhile, the Galactic Council received a message from Earth. Only 2 words: "We're ready." But ready for what, nobody knew. Some believed it meant peace, some feared it meant war, but everyone agreed. Humans were no longer the small species everyone laughed at. They were planning something. In the secret war room beneath Antarctica, Voss and his team studied the stars. The Kalari war fleet had moved. They were hiding near the dark edge of the galaxy, waiting to strike. But Earth wasn't just tracking them. Earth was watching everyone. Reyna's mission had unlocked more than just control codes. It had revealed data, a hidden network, forgotten, outposts from a time when Earth was not weak but dominant. Long ago, Voss said, humans weren't just part of the galaxy. They ruled it. Now the pieces were moving again. Old allies of Earth, hidden races once believed extinct, began to reappear. Messages arrived in ancient tongues, warnings and promises. The stars were stirring, and Earth had something new. A plan, not to defend, not to hide, but to lead. The Kalari Empire moved first. They launched a surprise strike on a human outpost near Jupiter's 3rd moon. Expecting a weak defense, they arrived in full force. But the outpost was empty, except for one ship, a dark, angular machine. Silent, still, waiting. The Kalari scanned it, laughed. Then it opened its eyes. 1 blue light, then 2, then a voice. "You were warned." And in less than 10 seconds, the entire Kalari fleet was gone. It began with silence, not fear, not weapons, just silence across the stars. The Kalari fleet, once thousands strong, had vanished after one battle. No survivors, no signals. Only whispers of a black machine with glowing blue eyes. The galaxy watched and waited. Then from Earth a final message was sent. 3 words: "We are returning." The Galactic Council panicked. "Returning? To what?" One leader shouted. "To power," another whispered. "To war," said a third. But the truth was far more dangerous. Earth was returning to the throne, not to sit at the table, but to own it. Across space, human fleets rose, but not like before. These ships were new, dark, silent. They didn't show on sensors. They didn't speak on open channels. They simply moved like shadows. And behind them came the ancient machines, built long ago, hidden beneath oceans, deserts, and ice. Now awakened, powered by energy the rest of the galaxy had forgotten, dark core fusion, a force older than stars. These weren't just warships, they were warnings. The watcher beyond stars stirred. From the edge of the galaxy, it gazed upon Earth. It remembered. Long ago it had battled them, the first humans. Not like today's people, but ancient ones. Smarter, crueler, more dangerous. It had watched them vanish. Now, their children had returned, and they were stronger than before. In the deepest corner of the galaxy, the final council met in secret. Alien leaders, warlords, emperors, generals, they all asked the same question. Should we surrender? One voice, old and wise, answered, no, we should kneel. But it was already too late. The humans had arrived. Their fleet didn't orbit planets. It surrounded systems. 10,000 ships. Silent. One by one, they hacked communication grids, shut down energy lines, disabled weapons, without firing a single shot. Then, in every capital city, a human hologram appeared. It was Commander Voss. He didn't speak long, just 5 words. We remember who we are. And the stars went dark, one by one. The ruling systems collapsed. The great powers of the galaxy bent their knees, not from war, but from fear. They had seen something in humanity they didn't understand. The power to laugh when outgunned. The courage to sacrifice without hesitation. The skill to hack gods. And the memory of being kings. Humanity didn't conquer with rage. It conquered with strategy, with secrets, with silence. And as Earth rose once more, something else became clear. They hadn't used their strongest weapon yet. They didn't have to, because the galaxy finally understood humanity had never stopped being dangerous. They had only been waiting, watching, preparing, smiling. Years later, when children of alien races asked their elders what happened that year, they were told, that was the year Earth laughed at power, and then became it.